heartbeat trouble. When we come back, the great American panel.
If you're looking for love, you're looking too hard. You can't see that what you need is right in your backyard.
And tonight on our great American panel, he is the national chairman of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly. Danny Vargas is back. He is a Democratic pollster, author of the bestseller, The Political Fix. Doug Schoen is here. By the way, I endorsed the book, and so did Bill Clinton. And she is a Grammy award-winning artist, star of the recently released movie Sarah's Choice. Rebecca St. James is back. Guys, good to see you. Welcome aboard. All right, this attack against Governor Palin. Let's roll Robert Gibbs and his snotty little remarks from earlier.
I wrote eggs, milk, and bread, and then I wrote down hope and change just in case I forgot.
Does this help them to attack Palin?
It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, at a time when the president is talking about trying to be bipartisan, inclusive, and so forth, could you imagine Ari Fleischer or Dana Perino or Tony Snow doing something this glib, something this partisan, at a time when his president's trying to do something bipartisan? Just doesn't make any sense.
You know, we got this poll out, this independent Business Daily poll, the IBD poll, and you know, look at this. She was speaking of the Tea Party movement. You know, independents view the Tea Party movement. 75% favor them. Right. So obviously, the attacks against middle America, calling stay-at-home moms and grandmas and veterans Tim McVeigh wannabes and political terrorists, it backfired.
It's not helpful.
Tea Party movement speaks to a broad swath of America's concern about overspending, deficits the size of government, and an overreaching health care bill in their perception. The Obama administration should be trying to co-opt part of the movement, certainly their worldview, rather than mocking it, deriding it, and ignoring it.
Let me give you an exercise. Replace the term Tea Party movement with disillusioned voters. And it's the same thing that we're talking about. When you mock the Tea Party movement, you're mocking disillusioned voters, and replace the title, replace the label, and that's what they're doing right now in the White House. It doesn't make any sense politically.
He's moving in the right direction slowly, but here's the thing. These voters who voted in Massachusetts, New Jersey, and Virginia are fiscal conservatives. They're for small government, reducing the deficit, something he promised to do and he's talked about. He has to get right with them, otherwise he can't win.
Wait, but here's the problem, though, Doug. He's saying all the things he said in the election, but words are becoming meaningless from Obama. In other words, it doesn't resonate anymore because he's broken his word so many times.
Because and not but Doug, but you talk about him moving in the right direction. He's moving in the left direction. He's talking in the right direction, but he's not actually doing the things that he needs to do to be able to move to the center.
And we continue now with our great American panel. All right, so we got Planned Parenthood. This ought to scare every parent out there. You know, everybody has different values. I don't care how liberals raise their kids. You want to do the condoms and cucumbers and bananas, all stuff that goes on. Do it in your privacy of your home. Planned Parenthood is now advocating a new report that children as young as 10 be given extensive sex education, including an awareness of sexual pleasure. And they specifically attack religious groups, Catholics and Muslims by name.
This is so scary to me because I think it is consensus that so much of movies and music today are over-sexualizing our children. So what, Planned Parenthood would want to lump in on that and over-sexualize them even more? And children are curious, so if they're told about something, they're going to be curious. At 10 years old, if my sister, who's 14 years younger than me, was being told at school about sex and dressing a condom on a banana, I would be very, very afraid because she's going to be curious.
To me, there's a practical consensus in America. Learning about procreation and sex in a value-neutral way is part of education. What Planned Parenthood is talking about here goes way beyond what's rational and decent.
I think there's a place for discussing human sexuality from a biological perspective, from a human relationship perspective in schools, but at the appropriate time. If somebody were to come up to me and say, I've got two small boys, and say that they were going to teach some of this graphic stuff at the age of 9 or 10, I would say one New York word, I would say forget about it. It would be, it's not appropriate.
Well, how about I teach my kids?
Don't you agree that if this happens, if Planned Parenthood has their way, kids are going to be exploring way earlier, and then there's going to be more teen
If they're
pregnancy?
educated intelligently, no, I don't
No,
agree.
it's a question of what and when and by whom.
Precisely.
And the what is just, it should be a biological, scientific perspective for human sexuality. It should be when it's appropriate, and it should be
I don't
done
think
by.
10 is appropriate.
And I don't think 10 is appropriate
Thank you.
either. But I think, and I do think, from a relationship perspective, it really ought to be up to the parents to decide what is appropriate to be able to talk to their children about in terms of human sexuality, relationship perspective. Leave the biology to a separate.
All right, I want to say something that will probably shock this audience. I think Michelle Obama said something, not when she said, for the first time in my adult life, I'm proud of my country, not that. But when she was talking about childhood obesity, I agree. I think you know what?
Hugely important.
It's very important that your kids be healthy. I'm not sure I agree that the government should involve itself by ridding schools of vending machines and sugary snacks and drinks and giving more school lunches and breakfasts to more kids.
There's a big difference. There's a huge chasm between public information, just say no to drugs like back in the old days in the 90s, right? And having the federal government intrude itself and actually putting those types of things in place.
Guys, great panel tonight.